Hello my folks, welcome to a youa 2D2 playthrough with Spinosaurus. Now we're going to play this game. We're going to do 40 laps around Malaysia, just going to take you through a few settings using custom, or just the Formula A retro cars, but with my own driver's settings and everything like that. I haven't adjusted the car, what's it called, the car attributes just yet for this upcoming season, so everyone's got equal cars on the grid, but let's take you through it as we watch on. We'll be around Malaysia, 40 laps, 0.5x tyre wear, and hopefully thrilling enough for the average person to watch. Taking the Williams around, I'm not going to say the track for the third time. It's going to be a dry race, but most importantly, last to first challenge. That's what we're going to be doing. Vettel on pole, Hamilton second, Lopez in third, Jose Maria Lopez in third. That's your top three. My teammate Massa in 11th, because I've skipped through the grid so quickly. I'm in last. Let's take a look at how this goes. I'm going to start with our tires from the back, lights out, and off we go. No plagiarism intended. Vettel gets off to a good start out in front, Hamilton in second, Hülkenberg up into third, as I've moved up ahead of one Red Bull of Mark Webber. So, we're up a position already. Let's see how far up the grid we can go there. Malaysia, a very nice circuit to drive with these cars. It's got, especially when tyre wear kicks in as we go down the inside of Grosjean into P18. Now we're behind Robert Kubica in the Sauber. Are we going to go side by side? You bet we are. We sniffed the opportunity and we go for it into the S's. Now into this right hand. It turns into a left. It turns into a right. And P17 is ours. But here comes Webber and Kubica. So I go for the switchback. I take Mark Webber. Not quite Kubica. He takes the position back. Webber gets me back with straight line speed. But we tried to get 3 in 1 with Kimi Raikkonen included in the bundle. Us three all fighting. I've forced to back out a little bit there because it was an awkward situation. So I'm back down to 19th, as Kubica has even made his way ahead of Massa, down from 11th to 16th here, but back into 15th ahead of Robert. Kobayashi in 14th. Vettel, where's he? He's down to 8th, while Buttons in front. Hülkenberg led early on. Jensen in front with the two Telmexes of Jose Maria Lopez and Pastor Maldonado are on his tail. Hülkenberg down to 4th. So we're back down to 19th. Let me try and focus on my own race as much as possible because I love to divert, but I don't think that will be all that helpful this time around. Anyway, Hülkenberg back into the race lead. I say back into the race lead. Button's been absolutely swamped, as you saw that move around the outside of Kimi Raikkonen into the final corner, just by the way, because I know I did. That's us up into 18th and we stretch away from him on his mediums. Hard tyres add plus 0% speed, and medium tyres at plus 1% speed. Soft tyres much quicker than both as Kobayashi goes deep, which allows us into 17th. Now back behind our teammate. I say back behind, we're behind our teammate. Felipe Massa. Rosberg dropping down the field. He's now being challenged by Massa, who tries to duel with him. Side by side we go after Massa didn't have the greatest of exits after trying that move. We're still in 17th though, having to hold behind himself and Rosberg. Where's Webber? He's up into 10th. In fact, he's just moving through the field. He's there with Glock and Mark Webber. No, he's with Seb Vettel, the pole sitter. As now Kovalainen's been dragged into a little fight here between Massa, myself, and Rosberg. Grosjean up into 18th head of Kobayashi and Raikkonen at the back, and now we're going to go side by side with Kovalainen. Going to make that move stick? Not quite. Are we going to be ambitious? Yes, we are. We take 16th with an aggressive move, make a bit of a mistake, which allows Grosjean with his speed to go through into 16th, and now I make a mistake which drops me back behind Kovalainen. Are we going to size the fin up? You bet we are. Back into 17th, down the inside. Not the cleanest, but still a valid move, I'd say, for UR2D2 standards. So, lap 8 of 40, Button with a bit of a gap out in front from Maldonado, Hamilton, Ogier, Hülkenberg, and the driver who we're going to focus on for a brief second, Timo Glock, because as you could see up at the top of the screen, he had sustained so much damage to the point where he's come in on lap 8 despite mediums being able to go from 11 laps to 17 laps here at Malaysia. He's back onto another set of mediums. Let's see how his undercut works as the soft tires wear out for the cars out in front. Rejon moving through the field. He's up into 11th already as I'm behind both BARs, led by Fanta Garda, who's also sustained quite a bit of beatings as Vettel comes in for a pit stop. That's going to move us up into 15th. We're going to probably size up Rosberg down the inside, and you can't call that a move that is not so lovely. By the way, let me know at the end of this video what your favorite move of this race is. It certainly won't be that, the one that I just tried to pull on Vandergarde, which sent me off the track through my own doings and allowed Rosberg back through on me. Rosberg going down the inside of Vandergarde. I go for the switch, and Vandergarde comes in. Rosberg stays out. I switched it on him, and I took P12 in the process. It's Hamilton and Vandergarde both in. I said Vandergarde already like 4 times that lap. Now I chase after Fernando Alonso, goes around the outside of Mark Webber to retake that position from him. Massa up into 6th, Kubica up into 5th. Jeez, these guys flying through the field. Button behind Maldonado is in front. There's some chaos up ahead as Hülkenberg tried to come in, almost drag Button in with him. But Maldonado, Hülkenberg, Lopez, Ogier, and Perez into the pits. As now we go down side by side with Webber, who's trying to get back at Fernando Alonso. We've had to back out a little bit there. But we're up to 7th. Last 2 first challenge going well so far. Massa up into the lead. As we tap Alonso from the side, we need to back out here because there's a chance he'll come in, and he does come in. Grosjean almost forced into the pits as well, I think by Kubica, who came in for damage. So Kubica, Jensen, Button stayed out for long on those softs, 12 laps on those soft tires. Webber and Alonso all into the pits together, which moves us up into 3rd with our teammate Massa in front and Grosjean in 2nd, Kobayashi 4th, Rosberg 3rd, but the first pitter, Timo Glock, has now overtaken him for that P5. So, I mean, that's a little bit worrying, the fact that he's so close, but that undercut was effective. Maldonado overtaking Kovalainen for P7 as well, further back. So it's just Kovalainen, Raikkonen, Rosberg, Kobayashi, myself, Grosjean and Massa all due in, the top 3 congregating though, because here comes Romain Grosjean on Felipe Massa. You can see the damage clearly having an impact on Massa's speed as Grosjean sends it down the inside into the final corner to take the race lead. No fight back from Massa for the time being, but I'm closing in quite rapidly here. I'm thinking of doing the 2-stopper at this point. You know, I don't know if I should speak in present tense or past tense because I mean this race has already been done. I'm just doing a voiceover. Anyway, Raikkonen and Kovalainen in further back. And now, ooh, Massa back in front. Grosjean and myself side by side. Massa came into the pits, and I send it down the inside of Grosjean, which means I lead, but Glock is in pursuit. His tires now on their 8th lap. Lopez fastest man on circuit 26.8. You're having an absolute laugh with that lap. I mean, he's a whole second quicker than myself at this point. Well, his fastest lap is a whole second quicker than myself. And now he reels in. I mean, as you can see on the screen, he's absolutely flying towards Glock and Grosjean, who gets overtaken by Glock. But these laps are crucial now because I've got a swarm of cars. Lopez, Maldonado, Grosjean, Glock, Perez, Kubica, who came in later than most of those guys, Hülkenberg, who's behind Kobayashi, all coming after me. So I've got to just sustain the pace here, especially as Grosjean gets swallowed up by those 2 Telmexes behind me. Maldonado up into 2nd now. Grosjean down to 3rd, maybe down to 4th. Nope, he holds on as I slide around, almost hit the pit wall. But now it's just about holding on for as long as possible. I'm doing the 2-stopper. But I'm obviously going for a very late first stop The question is just how late. In fact, let me spoil it. I'm going to lap 19. So after this lap, we'll be into the pits, but we've got a swarm of faster cars chasing after us all on soft tires. It's actually getting a little bit scary at this point, starting to panic. Well, not really panicking, just hoping to keep it on track and hoping to keep it within half a second of my fastest lap, which, considering how old the tires are, is still pretty impressive. Grujon into the pits at this point, lap 18. Kobayashi staying out along with myself onto lap 19. And now, obviously, as I said, this is my pit lap, but Maldonado is right on my tail. I decide medium tires as we're going to flick it into the pits, just stay off the gravel, come into pit lane nice and smoothly. We're going to drop down quite a few positions from this point on, and we're sticking to the two-stop. I could have made a one-stop a bit hards. With 20 laps on hards, 20 laps on hards, I don't think that would have been beneficial. Down to 14th. Let's look at the charge forwards. First target, Jensen Button. Kubica up into second. Gee whiz. Crazy guy. Darn nice. Around the out, you could see he was side by side with Maldonado. And now Lopez back ahead of him, maybe going after Maldonado. As you can see on the mini map, Lopez into the race lead. I'm pretty sure of that. He's off the track, and that's Maldonado back in front. But now we have to focus on ourselves. Jensen Button, the first target. He's going to overtake Van der Garde and Hamilton together. Hamilton came in on lap 10. He's struggling a little bit with those tyres. And that's us through on him following Van der Garde and Button. Van der Garde deep. That allows us into 12th. Now, just fending off the possibility that either of them could box as the two ups of Hülkenberg, Glock, they come in, Perez into the pits as well. As now we switch it back on Jensen Button. Lovely accelerator turn one, fighting Seb Vettel, and suddenly we're from 14th to 7th. Gee whiz, 5 overtakes and I think 3 pit stoppers. Or 4 overtakes, 3 pit stoppers, and that's us suddenly up the field. Massa moving into 4th. Lopez and Maldonado both into the pits here. Webber and Ogier side by side for P3. Webber trying to get past Sebastian Ogier. And myself with a personal best of a 27.9, closing in on both of them. My target at this point has switched to the top 2, Massa and Robert Kubica. As now Ogier deep, that allows me to make the same move that I made on his teammate Kobayashi earlier in the race. I don't know how many overtakes I've made at this point, but it's been quite a lot as I set a new personal best, 27.7. I hit the back of Webber, and Massa uses that. Oh no, he doesn't even use that. He just makes his move on Kubica, who's struggling on tires that are now 12 laps old at this point, if I am not mistaken. Now we're going for Mark Webber. Are we going to pull the switcheroo once again? Of course we do. P3 for myself and shortly P2 because it is a Williams 1-2 now that Kubica's boxed. Ogier deciding to follow suit. Webber third. Vettel. Oh my word, there's a huge gaggle of cars at the back there. Button, Vettel, Van der Garde, Glock, Lopez, Raikkonen, Perez, Alonso, Hülkenberg, Maldonado at the back of that all. And Rosberg, Kovalainen, you can see them all on the screen. Grosjean, Kubica, who's in 16th, going to the end on those hard tires like Hülkenberg in 13th. It's tight. It's pretty tight. Hamilton down to 18th. Van der Garde and Rosberg, Alonso, all into the pits as now I'm on the back of Felipe Massa after setting a 27.77. Just 200s off my best lap. Trying to go around my teammate. I look for the opportunity. I create it. And just like a businessman, it's business. It's business. Easy does it. We've pulled away from Massa immediately. So now up into P1. Now we can stretch away. Vettel and Button in. You can see at the bottom of the screen there. Now at this point, last to first is looking very probable, I would say. I've got quite a good gap over my teammate, and I've still got one stop to make. A lot of the drivers behind me also have a stop to make, but the fortunate thing for myself is I came in quite late for my first stop. So it's just a matter of, can we hold on to Williams 1-2? That's debatable. As into the pits came the other wins of Kovalainen a few laps after, in fact, just a lap after Button. But now let's talk you through a lap of Malaysia while we're at it. Rosberg actually into the pits now, not on that previous lap. In fact, I think he was forced in by Lewis Hamilton because he literally just came in. So, turn one, skid a little bit because now the tyres are worn. Make sure to keep it on track. Then touch as much of the curbs as you can. This right-hander is critical for lap time if you're trying to race around this track, but full speed through these S's. Now this corner, you can see a little bit of a little bit of lag there. We navigate it. Final corner. Make sure not to hit the pit wall, but get as close to it as possible. Or in Massa's case, just come in before getting anywhere near the pit wall. That's a lap of Malaysia. So, you know what? I think I can use this time to just talk. You know, I've been playing youa 2D2 for close to 3 years. In fact, no, it has been 3 years now. One feature that would be quite nice is a race replay button so that I don't have to record. Anyway, focusing on my own race, Lopez up into second, Clock in third. Kubica, I think he's the first car who's made his final stop. Simon Hülkenberg and I think Ogier, they've all come in for their last stops as I decided to come in last moment. I debated coming in on lap 31 or going for an extra lap like Lopez and Glock have done, unlike Maldonado's done, but I decided, you know what, 31, it's a good time to come in, behind Webber and behind Perez. Us and Webber, we've been fighting quite often during this race. We get past him. He's got a slightly wounded car. Perez next in the McLaren. Let's see if he'll get past Sergio Perez. At this point, copy and paste. Same type of move over and over again. Glock into the pits. Lopez into the pits. Perez into the pits. Grosjean into the pits after overtaking his teammate Webber also came in. I think Kobayashi into the pits. Most of the drivers coming in, basically, for their final stops. And at this point, it's a two-way fight between myself and Robert Kubica for the race lead. Kubica came in on 24 for hard tyres. We're going to go around the outside, try and make that stick. He has the better speed coming out the corner, though. We're going to send it down the inside. Turn that to the outside, give him space, and make sure both of us navigate turns 1 and 2. Now into the S section, we make contact. He edges me a little bit, and he gives me no space. So he holds onto the position, although a bit aggressively there. He backed out in that little right-hand kink at the bottom of the screen there, but he didn't. As now we're going to go around the outside once again, launch an absolute catapult of a move. He's got better speed than I do this time around. We're going to make the move stick before turn 2 comes, and that's us into third, slight celebratory weave. And now at this point, we've got the last to first challenge completed. Kubica was the only driver I really needed to beat, so now we can just watch on the mini-map and everything else to see what happens behind us. Let's see what lap times we can actually set here. 27.87. Gaps are up to almost 2 seconds. Oh, what a run out of turns 1, 2, and 3. Then nailing each apex. Here I could have been a little bit more aggressive there, but we make sure to go flat out through the S section. Second last corner taken expertly. Final corner. A little bit too gentle, but we're almost there by the pit wall. We improved by a whole 4/10 of a second there to increase the gap to almost like 3 seconds to Kubica. At this point, the race is over. Kubica, in fact, his race still has a little bit left in it because Massa is coming after him. So you can see on the mini-map, Felipe Massa looking to make it a Williams 1-2, but Lopez and Glock not far behind. Glock closing in on Lopez. Massa into second. Williams 1-2. I start weaving on the straight just to celebrate the fact that we could be on for a special result here. Glock and Lopez swapping positions like paint at the moment as now. Lopez had a supreme exit out of turn 1 and 2, and now he's past Kubica now. He's the one who could threaten the Williams supremacy here. Glock as well gets past Kubica. Perez coming after the pole. And now Glock at the bottom of the screen going around the outside of Lopez. Is he going to make that stick? I think he is. We could only catch a glimpse of Massa, but I can tell you, based on the leaderboard, Glock in third. Second place, Massa is next. Talking around the outside into the start of the S section, or the start of Sector 2. What a move there by Timo Glock to to destroy Williams' supremacy as we're about to head on to the final lap of this race. We have controlled it ever since we took the lead there from Kubica. I think we've almost pulled a pit stop gap over him in 5th place. So now let's just watch as we head around the final few corners. Lovely little race. Lovely little last to first challenge. We had to battle with the likes of Weber, Massa, Kubica, and most drivers around us, but as we skid around the final corner for the final time, we weave along the straights to take the victory here at Sepang. So it's myself in front, Glock in the apt in second, despite making that early stop and doing the 3-stop. That was lovely from him. Massa in third and the other Williams ahead of Lopez, Maldonado. Kubica down to 6th behind Maldonado at the end. Rejon 7th. 8th place Perez. 9th place Ogier and 10th Mark Webber. So both Red Bulls, both Delmexes, both Williamses in the top 10 here. And outside the top 10, it's Alonso ahead of Kovalainen. Kobayashi in 13th, Hülkenberg 14th, 15th Van der Garde, 16th Jensen Button ahead of Kimi Räikkönen, who really struggled this time. Vettel, the pole sitter, down in 18th, Hamilton 19th, and Rosberg, who we were battling with earlier on, in 20th, last of the finishers. And that is the end of this youa 2D2 venture. Thank you very much for watching.